Which wide receivers from last year's rookie class are ready to make an absolute leap in year 2 and break out? I'm counting down my top 14 year 2 wide receivers. And let's start at number 1, and there's no question here, it is Puka Nacua. Not only the biggest surprise maybe in the entire NFL, but also one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen. Broke the record for receptions and yards for a rookie wide receiver. He's a clear best wide receiver in last year's rookie class. He's in a tier of his own. Puka Nacua, the unquestioned number 1. Now, when we get to the next group, you can sort these guys in a number of different ways, but I'm going to put Zay Flowers at number 2. He and Jackson Smith-Njigba were really the only prospects I felt could be true alpha number 1 wide receivers in the NFL, and he's tied to Lamar Jackson in this offense with very little competition for targets. His biggest competition for targets is a tight end. Zay Flowers has the potential to be a stud number 1 wide receiver in the NFL. He's got a stud quarterback, so I'm going to slot him in at number 2. Then I'm going to slot Tank Dell in at number 3, and honestly, this feels like it may be a little bit high. We did not see a ton of Tank Dell last year, but when we did, he was great. He's attached to CJ Stroud, this emerging Texans offense, this emerging Texans team, really. He's one of those guys, get him the ball, he can make things happen. He's not a guy who's going to need, 8, 9, 10 plus targets every single week. So it feels a little risky here, but I think the upside is there to slot him in at number 3. At number 4, I'm going to go with Jordan Addison. He was definitely a rookie I loved, and I loved this landing spot for him in Minnesota. But there are some question marks here, namely, will Kirk Cousins be the quarterback next year? Will it be somebody else? Also, when we saw him really go off having those monster games, it was without Justin Jefferson. Can he put up those big games with Justin Jefferson in the lineup? We don't know yet, but I think he's a perfect complementary wide receiver to Justin Jefferson. Assuming Kirk Cousins or another good QB is back next year, I think Jordan Addison can certainly make a leap in year 2. I've got him at number 4. Now at number 5, another big surprise was Rashee Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Really was able to pull away as the top wide receiver in this offense, and a lot of times, especially in the second half of the season, he was the top target in this offense, even ahead of Travis Kelce. Going into next year, are we going to see Travis Kelce? Are we going to see a declining Travis Kelce? Are we going to see Rashee Rice really take that leap and become the guy that Patrick Mahomes can trust week in and week out? And that's the other really good selling point here for Rashee Rice is he's playing with Patrick Mahomes. That's not a bad thing at all. So Rashee Rice, I didn't really like him as a prospect, but I was encouraged by what I saw in year 1. I've got him at number 5. Now at number 6, this is where I'm going to slot in Jackson Smith-Njigba. I still believe in the talent here. I still believe in the potential, but there are question marks surrounding this Seattle offense. Namely, is Tyler Lockett going to be back or not next year? Will they move on from him? Will Jackson Smith-Njigba ever leapfrog to become the guy in this offense, playing alongside DK Metcalf? Pete Carroll no longer the head coach. How is this offense going to look? Is Geno Smith going to be the quarterback? There are a lot of question marks here for Jackson Smith-Njigba, but no doubt the talent is there. This guy made plays, especially in the second half of the year, on limited opportunities. So while I currently have him at 6, this could certainly go up based on what happens in the offseason, but at the moment, it's hard to project his opportunities going up significantly from what we saw in year 1. So for now, I'm slotting him in at number 6. At number 7, one of our kind of sleeper rookies last year that we both liked was Jayden Reed of the Green Bay Packers. It took a while, but man, did this guy come on in the second half of the season. Looked like the best wide receiver in this Packers offense. And you got to feel good going into year 2 because you got to feel good about Jordan Love. I mean, technically he's not going into year 2, but that was his first year as a starter. He looks like the guy. I know he kind of melted down against the 49ers, but come on, that's the divisional round of the playoffs. No reason to think Jordan Love isn't going to continue to be good next year. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jayden Reed is the number 1 receiver in this offense. And I love the way they use him in multiple ways, not just as a wide receiver, but also on those jet sweeps, end arounds. So you get some extra fantasy points that way. So Jayden Reed, I've got him at 7. At 8, another guy I really liked was Josh Downs last year. In the middle of the season there, really started to come on and then kind of disappeared down the stretch. But look, he's going to have Anthony Richardson back to start the season. And let's hope he has Anthony Richardson for the entire season. Because Gardner Minshew, he's fine as a backup. He is not Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson is going to bring a dynamic to this offense they did not have this year. Anthony Richardson proved he's a capable thrower in the NFL. And Josh Downs proved he can be a capable receiver, not just a little slot guy that he was early in the year. We saw him have more big plays in the second half of the year. I think Josh Downs certainly could have a much bigger year 2. Another guy I really like, I think he's going to be a sneaky value in drafts this year. I've got him at 8. At number 9, another guy I think is going to be a sneaky value in drafts, and that's Demario Pop Douglas for the New England Patriots. This guy somehow put up good games, even though he had to play with Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi and whatever this Patriots offense was. It was not a real offense, one of the worst passing offenses in the NFL, but guess what? They're going to get a quarterback upgrade. They've got the number 3 pick. It sounds like they're going to go QB. They've got to go QB, whether they trade up and try to get Caleb Williams, whether they take the quarterback that falls there. They're going to get one of these rookie quarterbacks in this QB class, and that's going to be an improvement over both Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. And again, when you look at this offense outside of Demario Douglas, who do they really have? I mean, yes, Kendrick Bourne was nice, but he's coming off ACL, Devontae Parker, Juju. Demario Douglas could certainly be the number 1 wide receiver attached to a good, improved rookie quarterback. Don't sleep on him heading into year 2. I certainly think he has breakout potential. As does Michael Wilson, who I'm ranking at number 10. Yes, there's a lot of talk that the Cardinals may draft Marvin Harrison Jr., but that's okay. Michael Wilson is not a guy who has to be the alpha number 1 wide receiver. He can be a great complementary wide receiver to an alpha like Marvin Harrison Jr., and he's got Kyler Murray and this Arizona offense. Kyler Murray is a great passer. He's a very good quarterback. For some reason, people don't think so, but he is. He's accurate. He can get the most out of Michael Wilson. Marquise Brown, a free agent, so you think if they do draft Harrison Jr., they're probably not going to bring Marquise Brown back. Michael Wilson has a chance to be the number 2 wide receiver in this Arizona offense attached to Kyler Murray. And this is a guy we also like them. I like what he can do as a wide receiver. I like what he brings to the table. So don't be surprised if Michael Wilson has a nice year 2. Now, just outside the top 10 at number 11, I have Dontavian Wicks. Had some nice stretches and also had some games where he completely disappeared. The issue for me here isn't the player. I like the player. I think he's a good player. I really do. The issue here is there's a lot of mouths to feed in this offense. You got Christian Watson if he can ever stay healthy. You got Jaden Reed, who I already talked about. Let's not forget about the tight ends, Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, who were both good as rookies last year. There are just a lot of mouths to feed in this offense, and not everybody is going to be able to be the guy. I do worry that Wicks, for as good as he is going to be forgotten in a lot of weeks because I think Reed is just better and has a better path to being the number 1 wide receiver here. So even though I do like Wicks as a prospect, as a player, because of the offense he's in, the pieces around him, I can't slot him in the top 10. I'm going to have to put him at 11. And then at number 12, I'm going with one of the top rookie wide receivers last year, Quentin Johnston, who did not produce in year 1. In fact, I would say he looked terrible in year 1, especially given the situation. Look, he was a guy we talked about. He's probably going to be an end of season kind of guy, maybe a year 2 kind of guy. You know, Mike Williams, they move on from Mike Williams. Well, then Mike Williams tore his ACL and Quentin Johnston was forced into action and he didn't really come through. And then Keenan Allen missed the end of the season. He was basically the last man standing at wide receiver and he wasn't even the guy. Even with all that, he wasn't the guy. He's a raw talent. He's not a good route technician. He needs a lot of work as a wide receiver. Look, we've seen wide receivers like him develop and become great, but if he doesn't develop heading into year 2, he certainly has a chance to be one of the biggest busts of the 2023 draft. I can only slot him in at number 12. At number 13, don't forget about Jonathan Mingo in Carolina. Sure, he didn't put up a huge year in Carolina because how could you put up a huge year in Carolina? One of the worst offenses. Bryce Young did not look like the guy. But look, they're doing some nice things in Carolina. They're doing the right things, trying to bring in more, younger, more modern type of coaches that can help develop Bryce Young. Bryce Young is still a talented QB. He still has potential. I'm not giving up on Bryce Young yet, and I'm certainly not giving up on Jonathan Mingo yet. No, we didn't see what we wanted to see from Mingo in year 1, but if Bryce Young in this offense improves, you got to think Jonathan Mingo is going along for the ride. I mean, Adam Thielen, okay, he was a nice story earlier in the year, but come on, this guy's going to be 33 years old? It's time to move on from this guy. Use your young players, use Jonathan Mingo. And while I hope that happens, and I think it could, there's still a chance that it doesn't. I mean, what if Bryce Young is just a bust? What if this offense never improves? That's why I've got him down here at number 13. And then finally at number 14, I'm going to go with Jalen Hyatt of the New York Giants. He did have some nice games, and then he had some games where he absolutely no-showed. But look at this Giants offense. I mean, Daniel Jones was horrible to start the year. Then we had Tyrod Taylor. Then we had Tommy DeVito. Also, my issues with Jalen Hyatt were the same as they were, as a prospect. He's kind of a one-trick pony. He's not a guy that's going to run routes. He's not a guy where, it's 3rd and 10, you need a first down. He's the guy you're looking at. He's a deep threat, a vertical guy, a contested catch guy. And look, that's fine. But is Daniel Jones again next year? Or if he doesn't get a quarterback upgrade, how much better can he really get in year 2? So I do worry Jalen Hyatt is going down the path of a bust. But when you look at the other wide receivers that I maybe could consider here, like Cedric Tillman, guys like that, I don't think I could put him over Jalen Hyatt. At least Jalen Hyatt still has potential. So he's going to round out my list at number 14. Those year 2 wide receivers could break out, but who are the rookie wide receivers you need to know about right now? Check out this video right here.